Hi, my dear Astro family. Today we are going to be talking about the upcoming full moon that is going to be taking place on the 21st of July, and it's on 29 degree of Capricorn. And this full moon can be a little bit dramatic because it has got an out of sign conjunction to Pluto, but it also has got quite a lot of support as well at the same time. So I'm going to break it down for you, what this new moon, full moon means. And as usual, I will be breaking down for the 12 signs as well for the paid YouTube members. So if you are interested, please check that out. You get additional 10 videos a month with weekly forecasts, breakdowns, and some additional content as well at the same time. So let me walk you through with this full moon. What is a full moon? A full moon occurs when the sun is in an opposition to the moon. So this time around, we have got sun in Cancer, and then forming this opposition to the moon in Capricorn, and that is taking place on the 21st of July, 2024. As I mentioned before, it's going to be on 29 degrees. Now, the full moon is a time of culmination. Usually it comes with a lot of emotional intensity, but also it can indicate fulfillment that might have started around the new moon. And at the same time, it highlights something as well because the moon is full, right? So something becomes more visible. And usually secrets could be coming out, especially when it's connected to Pluto as well. So in order for us to understand this full moon, we need to be examining the Cancer-Capricorn polarity because those two areas needs to be balanced out within your life. And Cancer represents your domestic environment, your home country, your privacy as well. And basically, it is the part of your chart where you came from. And Capricorn would be your personal goals. Where you heading? I wouldn't necessarily call it as a point of future, but you are heading towards that. You are building up to that. So with the Cancerian element, we need to nurture something, and often we need to nurture the foundation of who we are. And because when you are comfortable in your own skin, then all of a sudden your public life, your career is going to get healthier as well. And you are going to be recognized for something. Capricorn also represents taking charge, being fully responsible, being mature about something. So this is somehow the growing up axis. At the same time, this could also, with the Cancerian part, that we are attached to something, and we might need to be able to let go of that. Cancer represents insecurities as well as what makes us happy. And when we are attached to our insecurities, achievements are, or the rewards that we are craving for, is harder to come around, right? Because we might not be flexible. So this polarity is asking us to strike balance between our emotional security as well as something to do with our potentials in a way, because Capricorn can represent with hard work where you can get to in life. But, imagine this as a tree. So if you look after the roots of the tree, eventually the tree is going to blossom and you're going to be able to get beautiful fruits. You're going to see some beautiful fruits on it. So that would be the whole idea here. And therefore, the Cancer Capricorn part of your chart is very much connected to success in a way. Just we need to be aware of who we are and what makes us happy. Also, if you just think about it, Capricorn is about goals in life. So what is the reason for me wanting to achieve that? And the Cancerian part could be representing that to you. So balance is going to be one of the most important keywords with a full moon. So we need to be able to balance out being committed to our goals, but also being committed to our family duties as well, for example. Or we need to be able to build Capricorn a strong foundation, Cancer, within us. So now this lunation, as I mentioned before, it is on 29 degree. And that's really exciting because the 29 degree often comes with a lot of urgency. It is also connected to endings because we are about to enter kind of like a new phase of our life. But often it comes with, as I said, urgency. We want to get ahead, but something pulls us back because we meant to be dealing with something. And that's so true for Capricorn. Capricorn is the sign of patience. We shouldn't be rushing forward. We need to see the light at the end of the tunnel. We need to have the plan to get there. And I would like to mention that this full moon is going to be very prominent, most likely from September till November. To be precise, between 2nd of September until November 19th, because Pluto will reactivate the 29 degree of Capricorn. And I think certain things are going to be, we are going to be made aware, something that is going on in the background at the moment. Probably there is a lot of secrecy happening. And I just made a video about Joe Biden. And I do believe that he's got some medical conditions going on. And I believe it's going to get revealed to us most likely in between that period of time, September to November. Now, how do we see this Plutonian energy connecting to full moon? This is an out of sign one. And usually I'm not a big fan of reading out of sign aspects, but this time around I will. And the reason why, because Pluto is gonna go back in a couple of months' time, hitting the 29 degree. And this Capricorn full moon is actually around until the next new moon happening, which is only going to be happening next year. So that's the reason. So we've got this Pluto at 0 degree of Aquarius, and Pluto intensifies things. Pluto is the planet of psychology. So it looks to me that there is this psychological rebirth that is happening to us, or at least many of us. Pluto is trying to, I mean, with the full moon, which is shining light on something. So it's shining light on our psychological complexes, on the shadow side of our psyche. It is shining light on our fears, on our attachments. With Pluto, we are meant to be releasing something. We need to be making a change. And usually that comes with drama. And Pluto doesn't want small changes. This wants you to not look back anymore. It wants you to kind of release something completely and going towards a new thing. But Pluto is retrograde. So what needs to be released, you are already aware of it, or you have met with this situation already. You might not have picked up on it just yet, but this time around, this is going to get revealed to you. And because Pluto is moving back into the sign of Capricorn, which is all about, but it's not, it's about reality. So it really wants us to see the real world. With Pluto, something dies, and maybe a major political change. Maybe a politician will die with this. Maybe it's just being accountable for some of the actions, and I admit to something that I did wrong, for example. But obviously, because we've got such a strong Cancerian part of our chart, right? If you just look at it, what is going on in the sign of Cancer at the moment, then we have got obviously the sun still in the sign of Cancer. Then we've got a lot of water in the chart. So we've got Saturn, we've got Neptune, we've got Pallas Athene. So what it pretty much tells me is, especially with the sun being in the sign of Cancer, that if we are not psychologically calibrated and we are just locking ourselves up in a dark room in a way, and we cannot see what is right in front of us, what needs to be released, then we are going to be forced to do that. Also, Pluto is connected to trauma. So maybe we need to be able to emotionally process some trauma that happened within us. It's a pain that is lingering in our higher mind because it is still in the sign of Aquarius, right? And Aquarius is the future and somehow goes back into the sign of Capricorn, which can represent the past. So instead of moving forward towards a future with an unstable ground, we need to sometimes reassess things. We need to realize what needs to be gone. And then we go back there and then we deal with it. So I think it's a huge opportunity to kind of like take off some of the mask that we wear. Maybe it's connected the way how we try to protect ourselves. Maybe with Aquarius, we tend to be getting emotionally detached. We do not want to get in touch with our feelings. And I'd like to point out that Capricorn's detrimental ruler is the moon. So when Capricorn doesn't get involved with their own feelings, obviously they become a rigid parent, for example. They become a little bit dry. They are unable to get in touch with their own feelings. They don't want to be vulnerable. So they come across strict. They come across a lot stronger. So I think also this full moon is highlighting our evolutionary process, our evolutionary growth as well at the same time. I mean, evolutionary astrology tends to be using Pluto, for evolutionary purposes, and there is nothing wrong with it. But also, I tend to be looking at Pluto as getting into a loophole. Um, what I mean by that is that we might be going around the same cycle, the same pattern all the time, and we might not be able to see that. I mean, this full moon on 29 degree of Capricorn, actually, it has got a sextile, a wide one, but it has got a sextile to Pallas Athene. So there might be some pattern recognition to do there around some of the cycles that we might get stuck in it. But even if we disregard Pallas Athene in this, Pluto is telling us to recognize our own fears, recognize that in order for us, let's say, the world to change, we also need to change with it as well, because this is Aquarius back into Capricorn. At the same time, Neptune is making a sextile to this lunation, which Neptune is the planet of acceptance. So this could talk to us about that, yes, some of us will not change. And that is also okay. We need to be able to accept it, that not everyone is ready to make changes in their lives. We also have got this full moon in square to Chiron, which is sitting on 23 degree of Aries. By the way, Chiron is also in conjunction to the asteroid called Eris. So, and also Chiron is ready to station retrogrades just 3, 4 days after the full moon is taking place. So again, with Aries, which represents like disharmony within us, a discord within us because it's already retrograde. And then Chiron is the inner pain in a way. So we've got a huge tension here. And again, this is a reminder that there are certain type of pain and wounds that we meant to be dealing with, something that is holding us back to achieve a goal. So what type of pain do you need to work on? We need to understand with this lunation that everything comes from within. It affects our physical body, it affects our emotional and psychological body as well. What are your vulnerabilities that you need to be able to face now? This could be a reminder for you we've got this beautiful sextile to Neptune, actually, so that is also talking to you about imagine the best version of yourself. Get in touch with your emotions, be sensitive, be forgiving, be compassionate. But at the same time, it tells you to set boundaries as well at the same time. Also, we've got a trine to Uranus as well, which is already sitting on 27 degree. And with Uranus, I mean, it's highlighting the Uranus-Mars conjunction, surely. But with the Uranus, it could be an intuitive hit that you receive, and all of a sudden you know where that pain, that unexplainable pain, comes from. With the Uranus, we might get an urge to make a change, to explore new territories, to be a little bit more on the brave side as well. And not to mention that Mars is actually sitting on 0 degree of Gemini as well. So again, we've got an out of sign trine happening there. And the only reason why I think it's a very important one also, because obviously we just had the Uranus-Mars conjunction. So Mars is also prompting us to be brave, to be initiating something, um, and to talk about something that might be, bothering us. So the dispositor of this full moon is, of course, it's Saturn, and Saturn is still in conjunction to Nessus. And I made a video about Saturn and Nessus conjunction. So the way we allow others to abuse us, maybe the way we abuse ourselves as well. Saturn is retrograde, which is also telling us that the problem we meant to be dealing with, it's already there. And Saturn is actually going to be making a square to Jupiter, in August. I made a video about it, and I'm going to be making one more because the square is going to be very, very important here, of course. But maybe with that Saturn, we need to be cutting out certain type of illusions. We need to see through the fog. We need to be probably, the eye needs to pop out to be able to see something properly because the fog might be too big. Maybe we need to cut out some BS. Maybe we need to be cutting out some illusions or some fantasies from our life as well. But also, that's all about building up towards your dreams as well. The question with Saturn in Pisces is that are our dreams real? Or are we in a la-la land? Are we trying to escape and run away from responsibilities? Or are we going to somehow, we think that magically, they are going to be all okay because I'm protected. Nothing is going to be happening to me and so forth. But it is telling you still that in order for us, our goals and our dreams to come true, we need to be working extremely hard. So I believe this is a beautiful full moon for a lot of us. And it calls us upon some self-reflection, some introspection when it comes to your achievements, your ambitions, your roles in the world, as well as something to do with your own responsibilities. Maybe it wants you to look at, is it the right workplace for me? Do I show up in the world in the right way? Do I have a structure in my home? Do I put too much emphasis on structure and goals in my life and maybe I have gone out of balance? Am I someone who drives to succeed and completely ignore, for example, self-care? Ceres is also in the sign of Capricorn at the moment, and it started its retrograde journey somewhere around 21 degree or 23 degree. Sorry, I forgot to look that up. Um, so Ceres will be in the sign of Capricorn until November, actually. So that's a longer period of time as well, which is reminding us to nurture growth, but also self-care as well at the same time. Maybe you have got a lot of inner doubts with this Pluto, Cancer, Capricorn activations. And because the full moon highlights something, it is trying to give you clarity. But in order for you to get that clarity, you need to be able to look within. Imagine Capricorn. Capricorn can represent your defense mechanism actually, because it's a huge wall. So did you build a wall around yourself that needs to be knocked over? Because actually no one is able to approach you. Oppositions are often showing up in our relationships, by the way. So am I just crying at home because I don't have a relationship, for example? But then we need to be able to realize that we have built this huge wall around us, obviously to get protected. Or Capricorn can represent the trials in our life as well. So do we feel that life is too heavy and I want to be running away from all these responsibilities and duties? Or are you going to be trying to tackle, all the obstacles that is right in front of you? So on one hand, this is telling us to see the beauty in challenges. Also, Capricorn is extremely logical as well as analytical. But the sun is in the sign of Cancer. So are we trying to analyze our emotions, or are we trying to suppress our logic, or are we trying to suppress our emotions? That could be also something that might be popping up. For example, in relationship departments, this could be coming up that, oh, you are meant to be in charge of this and that, and I'm meant to be in charge of this and that. And, we don't find the balance in between. So it's kind of like, uh, a microscope with the Pluto is put on the relationship with the self and the other self as well. So basically, that's both of you really, and then being asked to be, yeah, admitting that you know what, I'm in the wrong also. For example, so to take accountability, that's a major message probably with this lunation. So I think I mentioned everything that needs to be known about this full moon in Capricorn. I would say, oh, and one other very important thing actually, that this is the second lunation in the sign of Capricorn. Let's not forget about that either. So we had already a full moon happening in June, which also happened in the sign of Capricorn, but that was at the beginning of the sign. And this is only happens once a year when we've got two full moons in the same sign. So therefore, when we have got two of them, we tend to be a little bit more focused on that sign. So in that case, it's the Capricorn part of our chart. So we might be more focused on what we have achieved so far, what type of responsibilities we've got, how disciplined we are. For example, that might be um, we might be becoming fixated about those. Maybe you've got with the 29-degree Capricorn, also imagine that the sense of urgency is because you are meant to be finishing off a project. And then the timeline, the deadline is coming up, and then you feel pressurized by it. But also, this is a motivation as well to finish off something, right? And then after, we can actually celebrate at the same time. And I also believe with that series, which is very much wanting us to focus on our as I said, self-care and how we nourish ourselves. So, and series also represents food industries as well as lack of earth-given resources, because Capricorn is the lack. So there might be again more talk about poverty and famine in the world, or even with Saturn being in the sign of Pisces, maybe the lack of water topics, or the lack of fishes, for example, and so forth. And obviously, Sun in Cancer could represent emotional eating. So that's the reason why the food actually came to my mind as well at the same time. And also this 29 degree, you can also imagine this as a like a supercharged degree. But also they call it as the crisis degree because usually the 29 degree of the chart always falls on Saturnian or Marsian um, uh, decan or dwarfs. And Saturn and Mars are considered to be malefic energies. So this is also the reason why it's called as a crisis degree. Kind of like when you have got a deadline coming up, it feels like a crisis, right? Because you are meant to be actually rushing things. Just Capricorn doesn't necessarily like rushing. So when it has to be rushing, it feels stressed. And it feels like with that Cancer Sun and the Saturn in Pisces that, you know what, I cannot take this stress. I need a holiday. I need to get sick and all those type of things. So the best course of action is to monitor your your schedule, for example, and making sure that you don't take on extra duties because you can become a lot more sensitive. It might be an indication that you are going to be working extremely hard, or with that Saturn in Pisces, you just decide, no, no working. I'm finished. I'm fed up with it. Let's just let it all go, you know. I do like that Neptune, which is also an energetic degree. So interesting that we've got quite a lot of planets on energetic degree and quite a lot of planets on 0 degrees. So that's the beauty of this. And sometimes Neptune just says, go with the flow, listen to your intuition, trust your gut feelings, trust your gurus, recharge the water, talk to the water and so forth, and use your imagination, be creative. Let go of wanting to control something. Capricorn is a controlling sign. This is telling us to let go of um, any of our defense mechanism because what could be holding us back is when we are trying to defend ourselves. So you can look at Capricorn as the sign of karmic baggage, basically. So this is, I think, what I have wanted to share with you. I would say that if you have got any planet, especially on 28 to 1 degree of Capricorn, Cancer, Aquarius, or Leo, you are going to be affected pretty significantly, as well as if you've got any planet on 29 degree of Libra as well as Aries, then you might be very impacted by this full moon. And one of the ways you can actually do that, not only looking at your um, um, natal chart, but you can look at your progress chart, you can look at your solar arc chart, you can even look at your solar return chart as well. Because the solar return chart, even though it doesn't work without your natal chart, but whenever it gets activated, those solar return degrees gets activated, those are when the big events are happening in your uh, life. So, guys, this is my interpretation on the upcoming full moon, and I will be breaking this down for you, of course, for the 12 signs as well, for the paid YouTube members. So, have a great one, everyone, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.